You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I guess I would like to start by asking you if you've seen the sort of irony in this. So a day or 2 days ago, I guess, Francois Legault is out in front of the National Assembly. Some of the potential strikers who are walking off on Monday are standing there as well. And he's very, very cordial and suggests, oh, don't worry, we have a big offer coming on Sunday. He's all smiles. And then a day later, he turns around and says to the nurses, hey, don't even think of taking patients hostage in a labor disruption. What's going on here?
Isn't that a great choice of words to use, given what's going on in the world outside of Quebec right now? Isn't that like anyone else? I'd say it's tone deaf, but for Francois Legault, this is clearly planned. This is clearly what he does, and I'll use the expression again. This is simple political punkery. Okay, it is another sign that. Francois Legault has an audience to address. It isn't you, it isn't me, it isn't our listeners, it isn't most of Quebec. It is a collection of elderly, isolated, uninformed people who are counting on Francois Legault to protect them from everything. Francois Legault, the same people that Francois Legault suggested could be hostage takers, he was referring to as guardian angels not so long ago, perhaps to deflect from the fact that Quebec on his watch had the highest death toll in Canada when it came to COVID. But the fact is, this is how he operates. And I'm telling you, between the 420,000 Common Front members and now the 80,000 members of the FICA, essentially the nursing union, he's got 500,000 Quebecers who are facing off against him. And I'm telling you, he is scared witless. Because if this offer is not what the unions want, they will go on strike, and there will be disruptions. And he'll hop up and down, and he'll describe them as everything short of just the Antichrist. But the fact is, whether it's in education, whether it's in health, whether it's in the public service, the absolute lunacy, not exclusive to this government, but certainly the CAQ government in the past 5 years has managed to show it can stand head and shoulders above previous administrations when it comes to screwing up how things work in this province, fundamental services that we pay for, okay? When it can do that, he's going to have to turn around and find more demons in the closet. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, maybe a growing number of Quebecers are going to realize this is the same mangy rabbit. He keeps pulling out of the same battered hat over and over and over again in an effort to create this smokescreen to conceal the fact that he and his administration simply don't know what they're doing.
This is really going to be, I realize there's no election for, a year and a half, roughly, ballpark 2 years. This is really, it seemed to me, Jim, maybe I'm wrong, this is the first real major test he's facing. Can we call it that? Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That pause was extrememly pregnant. But major test. I say every day is a major test. But you know what's interesting, guys? Guess where and you say it's not. We're nowhere near an election. Guess where Francois Legault is going to be tomorrow? Touring his riding.
Oh, no kidding.
It almost looks like a campaign test.
Wow.
I kind of did a double take on that. But yeah, of course it's a test. But the real test isn't so much of Francois Legault's government or him. It's a test of this narrative that he's been building since 2018 that without me, you're in real trouble. Mm-hmm. Without me to protect you, you're in real trouble. It's hard to sell that when you've got nurses and even the union local president you guys spoke to yesterday, Jenny, I think her name was, laying it out. It's not complicated, and it wasn't scary. This is the situation that Quebec's healthcare system, and i.e. the people it's supposed to protect, is facing. And for Francois Legault, this is another day at the office. It's almost like, I know, there's problems in ERs and doctors, and we're losing personnel and whatever. But, have I mentioned the French language is in danger? I think the most vehement supporter of Quebec's linguistic identity is going to start to roll their eyes sooner or later when he keeps pulling this nonsense, and things are so so close to the precipice that even before the strikes, well before this apparently improved government offer, here's Francois Legault describing people that he has to go up against as hostage takers.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I'd like to circle back for a moment to that poor choice of language, and that, like, it's not like it's the first time that he's done something like this. How does he keep getting away with it?
Well, he's not getting away with it with me. He's not getting away with it with us. I would perhaps, ask that question to the press corps up in the National Assembly, that someone would stand up and say, Mr. Premier, do you think maybe you could have a better choice of words? But apparently that didn't happen. But listen, it's how he operates. It's how he's always operated. Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois is an anarchist or a radical. People who talk against his policies don't know what they're doing, or they're not real Quebecers. We have seen this in the past. And, it's this mask. It's not so much the mask has dropped. The mask was never really fully on. But now we're seeing the face behind that mask on a more regular basis.
Yeah, and as you said before,
and I'm really wondering whether in this particular instance, unlike in the past, this is going to be able to blow over. Even if this labor dispute gets settled, the way he has conducted himself, you really have to wonder if this is not going to stick to him like a very, very bad odor.
There is certainly that level of arrogance that we've talked about on multiple occasions. It's there, and every now and then it rears its ugly head. And you remember, this is not new. It's, as you said, Jim, it's always been there. We're just seeing more of it now on a regular basis.
Well, you're seeing it more frequently.
Yeah.
And I think that's the crucial difference.
So I want to ask sort of one other thing here with respect to this idea that so far, and maybe this is just me, maybe I just haven't heard it. Have you seen anything from Quebec Solidaire of late getting up and complaining or saying anything at all? Because they seem to have disappeared off the political map here.
They are not in the forefront. They're still opposing. In fact, the Liberals and the PQ got up and walked out of a legislative committee hearing on Bill 31, which is the housing revision bill, because our nice housing minister, Francine Duranceau, seems to have been taking political lessons from Francois Legault. After delaying things with interminable amendments that she brings in at the last minute, she turned around today and told the opposition parties, if you don't adopt this law by Christmas, evictions will be on your conscience, which is absolutely ridiculous. But this is it. More and more. And I got to tell you, just to address your original question, I think we'll be hearing more from all the opposition parties now if this crap keeps up. Because this is not how you run a government. This is how you try and scare people. This is usually the conduct and the vernacular of a government that feels it's on its last legs. And yet, so far, we haven't seen any poll evidence to suggest that's the case. But they really, really seem to be chasing their own tail on virtually every file now. And I can't see any silver lining around the clouds slowly closing in around Francois Legault. Yeah,
to your point, it's fascinating to think he's going to be in his own writing, stomping. I mean, obviously he's concerned or he wouldn't be doing this. So that's a really interesting, I think, development. I'd be curious to, how people play
I don't know
this.
if it's not an anniversary of anything as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But it's just like, standard meet and greet. He's going to various places in Assumption, and I just thought it was rather odd given what's going on. the 85,000 things that are going on. Yeah. But hey, I don't plan a schedule.
Jim, before I let you go, did you happen to catch any of Jean Chrétien on with Vashi this week?
He was on fire.
I didn't hear it, but I read bits and pieces of it. And I'm a big fan of Chrétien. And we can't pretend these were golden days. I mean, the infamous Liberal Rat Pack, they sort of made a lot of people's eyebrows go up the way they behaved in the House of Commons. But to a certain extent, it was a lot more rough and tumble, and yet there seemed to be, at most times, not all the time, but most times, it seemed to be that once you left the House, the gloves came off. I think those days are gone forever. I think now you don't have political adversaries. Whether it's in Quebec or elsewhere, you have political enemies, and we're all poorer for it.
I just want you to hear, this is Vashi asking Jean Chrétien the question. I think this is great. Brian?
I'm wondering if you feel, for example, you would still want to run at this point in time in this environment to be prime minister versus 30 years ago.
if I was confronted with that challenge, I would take it.
There you go.
I love it.
Jean Charest, take a back seat. Jean Chrétien wants to run. James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Adamant.